It's The Perfect Union, the perfect podcast for the perfect country, brought to you by your perfect host, Hank Thompson, for you, the perfect listener. Hello, everybody. Perfect Union is the politics wing of Winners and Losers Enterprises and Apocalypse training courses. Don't forget to sign up for upcoming class, voting. Fill out your ballot, mail it in, and Brett Kavanaugh will wipe his ass with it, or line the floor of his children's dead parakeet cage. I assume he only has demon parakeets that live and they spit out little droplets of evil. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Welcome to America. The final days. The sequel is going to be Americazzi or something. That's not even funny. I'm just improvising. And so, yeah, we're here. We are. It's a Friday, 10:30, meaning October 30th. My Halloween costume hasn't shown up yet. But I have been doing sit-ups and push-ups because I'm not sure I'll be able to fit into the Wonder Woman onesie. So we'll see. Hopefully it does. I've got a big party to go to. I'm going to go cough on some friends and strangers and let them cough on me. And then we're all going to have Halloween in 3 or 4 weeks when 1 to 3% of us die. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to it. JK. I am bereft of human contact and affection and love, and I am overwhelmed by loneliness and depression lately. So that's what's been happening. It's been a fucked up time, man. Everything is weird again, as usual, I should say. Weirdness, confusion, dismay. I don't expect. Maybe this is a peak because we all know that on Tuesday and beyond will be just this really pivotal moment in our country's history and probably world history, because if America doesn't get its shit together, by the way, Biden's not going to be the one to do it, but Trump is getting its shit spread everywhere. He is the rabid gorilla on the planet flinging poo, and that gives gorillas a bad name because I've met some and they're good people. That's not true. I've only just seen documentaries where they do sign language and have strange little fights in the zoos, just like people. We're a zoo. Human society is all just a big zoo we consent to live in. So yeah, it's a hard time. I'm struggling a bit myself with emotional stuff. Just kind of really feeling it, and it's been hard to concentrate. I've been still doing stuff, getting some things. I don't know if done is the right word because I'm not sure anything I'm doing is going to lead down the road to something. But I'm enjoying doing Twitch. Not going to ramble too much. I did draw this little monster here. If you're looking on screen, it's like a gumdrop. We were doing a Halloween decoration thing, and it evolved into doing a monster head out of a gumdrop, or not a gum, like a jelly, like a gummy drop is a better. I don't know what the hell this shit's called. So it's like a see-through. If listeners not looking at it, if you know Minecraft, the like big square green fellas that you can kind of see through, that's sort of what this is. It's got grapes for eyes. It's like a Jello mold turned into that became alive. So it's got grapes for eyes and hot dog slices for teeth. So we're still working on it. If you want to watch me, if you want to watch me work on it, I'll be working on it on Twitch, or it'll be in the archive on the website. Twitch lets you watch for up to 14 days, so go check it out there. Or I do upload them eventually a day or two later to YouTube for posterity. So yeah, man. That's been happening. Playing the game Hades, which is a lot of fun too. It's a really interesting, good game. Nice and easy, I don't know. It's just a good break. I did a lot of Let's Plays on Suck Professor over the last bunch of years and haven't done it in a while. It's kind of fun to do it with people watching, and our audience is small. We're small but mighty, but we're working on it, and I think we're in a building phase. So anyway, enough of that. Twitch.tv/winners and losers. If you don't have to have an account to check it out and give it a look. There's a lot of good politics on Twitch too. Seriously, if you're not used to using Twitch, I'm only recently converted in a way. I'm still figuring it out, but there's some really good, interesting politics happening on there as well. So, yeah, I got a bunch of stories to get to. I am waiting for a delivery that's very important. I'm getting some old beat up tools from a family friend, and my dad sent it to me, so I'm really excited to get this box. It's for my woodworking stuff. Eventually I'm going to do some like restoration videos, but this box is like, it's got precious what the fuck, precious, I can't do it, precious cargo It really gorgeous stuff. There's if you like restoration and like fixing things up, I'm going to learn how. These are old hand planes from a guy who was like, he had some money and he was a family, but the dude died like 10, 15. So this is like an old man's garage cleared out and they found these tools and wow, so lucky to be able to get some of the stuff. And they're really neat. It's so cool. I just love it. I just love it. So I just want to work on that stuff so much. And I've been so slow with Bum Rush Industries. Anyway, so I'm probably gonna have to pause. I'm watching UPS's live delivery, which is interesting. I mean, it's got like a Google map up with like a little UPS truck that bounces around on the map, and it is a block and a half from my house, but it's been a block and a half from my house for about 2 hours. So it's really nice for obsessive thinkers who are emotionally disordered at the moment right now, like myself. But yeah, so that's good. I'm like a general watching from above, except it's just about getting some tools. So it'll be cool. Thanks for tuning in. What else is going on? I have so much I want to ramble about. This hasn't been helping my mental health lately. Well, let me just give you, I made it sound like I'm a little more dour and bad. I've actually been eating really well. I've lost over 5 pounds and I'm down a bit and I've been working out more. I can tell because I can feel my tits starting to shape up slightly. My push-ups are getting easier. You know, those first 8 don't feel so painful. Even a little yoga. And that's, God, that yoga, man, I want to get really good at it, but I just can't commit to like really giving it a hard try. Even though I know it's healthy, it's so good for you. Just to feel that random muscles and bones grinding together and turning you into a lithe. I want to be a lithe lover. Let me just say that. That's all. I want to have a good body, the mental benefits, the health benefits, but I want to be one of those no cramp muscle lovers who can put his legs, one on the ceiling fan and one on the bathroom sink, and we just, everything goes wherever it needs to go in the moment, to meet the immediate needs of the moment. I said moment twice in that sentence, and that's going to haunt me for weeks. So I'm actually feeling okay. I can feel the depression jumping in or like gathering the clouds. I can sense them. I know when they start moving around a bit, but I also know that I'm not powerless. I describe depression in many. Well, you spend my whole life trying to make some sense of it, but I think one thing about it that is true is that it's very persuasive and it tells you you're powerless. So you trust it. And I don't think that it's good advice to say, stop trusting your depression. I think that's too big of a switch, but I do think you can say, trust it less, just less. You don't have to stop trusting it, even though that's what you want it to do, but just like 10% less. Hey, you know what? Depression, maybe I'm not as powerless as you're saying I am. Maybe I can actually go do a push-up or a dish or, something. Just move your body, get your body moving, or say no to some more negative coping skill. I took a nap yesterday at like 4 something, and it's just, you wake up at 6 and it's like another day and you're like, what day? I don't know what's happening now. So, all right, rambling. This isn't helping though. I want to share this real quick. Let me check the sound, make sure I'm not too gonna blow out the ears here, because this is rough. Also, anything we don't get to today, it's already past, it's almost 3:00 in the afternoon, and I want to get this up tonight, so I'm going to try to cut this off around an hour. Anything else I don't do, I'm going to do on Twitch over the weekend at some point, but I'm also going to get on Twitch tonight to play Hades. I think I want to make a little progress in my playthrough for Hades, so that'll be fun. And anyway, so this has been happening in my neighborhood. As you know, I've a house right behind me has been doing demo work. Well, they're in the construction phase now, and I've heard this noise over the last couple weeks, off and on. It's so annoying. It goes on for hours at a time, it seems, but it's also intermittent. You can't tell, you can't predict it, you can't get used to it. It's just like having like a ghost dying over and over and over. So I'll play it. This is what I got to listen to for all of this morning. Wait. There it goes. How's that? Oh, baby. I live in a city I have so much fun. I can't stand LA. I don't even blame LA for this. This is just being too close to other people. This is so annoying. I hate this shit. It's a guy on the screen. You can see it because I filmed him like a creep. It's a dude, and it's not this guy's fault. He's cutting tiles. He's got like a wet saw build up. So this building has this balcony, and this guy's out on the balcony, just taking his time. Not taking his time. He's doing his job. It's not the guy's fault. And he's cutting tiles, and it's so grating. I have to say, though, I had not seen what this noise was. I thought it was a grinder, like a bench grinder, which you can use to sharpen metal, or maybe if you're making some sort of knick-knack, like you're producing a bunch of them. Because I was hearing this kind of sound, and I was worried it was a neighbor who lives here, because there's someone back behind me that does like little creative stuff occasionally. And I'm the guy that does woodworking on his balcony, so I contribute to this noise, so I have really no right to be whiny about it. But luckily, this is like a temporary thing, because this is they're going to finish it. But when you do tile, you don't do 4 10-foot pieces. You do hundreds of 4-inch pieces. So here's more. He's switching to tile, picks up another one, puts it on the thing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Here he goes. Finish that one. Puts it down. Picks up another one. So it's a there's plenty of days where there's no sound, but it's also there's just always beeping, and there's the fucking baseball team here. I guess they won a game or something, and so suddenly there was fireworks blowing off at 8 o'clock at night. I'm tired of this shit. I am so tired of not being able to relax at all. And I'm so privileged to have the situation I do have where I can work on this stuff on my own. I haven't been out doing gig work and doing stuff like that. So, man, it's got to end eventually, though. I mean, meaning I need to move on. I'm really eager to figure out a way to move out of LA. I know I can just pick up my shit and do it tomorrow if I really, really, really like want to just ditch, but lots of processes whatever. It's okay. Now's not the right time. It just really isn't. It would be too stressful and whatever else to even do it. I don't have the money to do it anyway. So whatever. We're going to catch up with a bunch of stuff. We're going to get into some politics and whatnot. So this one was funny. I talked about this on the Twitch stream a bit when I was rambling. One nice thing about it is you can come on and we can talk, and you can ask me questions, or I can ask you questions, or we can it's sort of I love that part of it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how a community develops within that kind of thing, because it's just kind of cool. So anyway, I was rambling about this, and as you know, as you may know, Trump had a rally in Omaha, Nebraska, which Nebraska is just south of South Dakota. It should be called South Dakota. Actually, Kansas, and then Kansas could be South Dakota. Or then, no, this should be called North Kansas. I'm going to do this for the next 10 hours. But no, so Nebraska is not like New Mexico, although it gets cold all over the place in the evening and the nighttime. So people come to this rally at the airport. The king descends from the sky in his beautiful chariot, his blue and white chariot of fire, and it has those aluminum foil things to fend off missile attacks that it shoots out the back. What do they call that? Flare? There's a word for that. Flak? They take flak. Anyway, they do the rally at the airport. Not a bad place for a rally because you got a lot of space, blah, blah, blah. Nice and convenient, probably easier for security. And then the great king, the magnificent man, no human has ever been better constructed to serve and better the land and the people for which he has been charged to care for. Does his speech, says a random insane shit by demonizes science and suggests that they should murder his opponents, and we'll probably yell at Tony Danza or something. The people offer him their love. They start early. These are early days. You don't just show up and wander in and head on over. You got to go through security screenings, and it's a long day. So people started lining up around 10 a.m. for a 6 p.m. show, 6 or 7 or something like that. And that means you're up early. You got to do your insulin shot. You got to do your husband's insulin shot. You got to get in the car. You got to get gas. You got to get Twizzlers. You got to get to the thing. And you're on your feet a lot, too. They also have, I mean, I don't know this one particularly, but I know that it's not as free roaming. You can't just go get water as easily as if you want to. So it's a bit of a slog. It's a long day. So they bus them in. And in this particular one, I was going to do like a whole Google Maps fly around, but I didn't have time to figure it all out where the parking lot was and shit. But the figure I saw was 2.7 miles. So they bring them in and make them all park 2.7 miles away. Decent walk. Not a lot of people's glutes and hammies and front hammies are real strong because of the COVID, I'm assuming. You know, I've been trying myself, but God, if I had to go on like the apocalypse hit tomorrow, hold on, I got to burp. That was the ghost of the chicken I had for lunch. The walking is 3 miles ain't that much. Anybody can probably handle a 3 mile walk, but it's still, you walk about, I think a good pace is about 20 minutes per mile. That's a good hour walk. So they bus them in and they start, I read this, I don't have the article in front, but they start busing them from the parking lot to the facility to the rally at 10 a.m. So they have 8 hours to get people there to use the roads. And then the show ends. Stand-up routine's hilarious. He says, COVID, COVID, COVID. Blah, blah. He goes, I am Morlock, the king of all, the dementor of all dementors. And, he gives his little speech, and then they all say, yes, more, please. Trump is actually just feeding. He is feeding like a vampire. Almost there. My delivery just updated. The UPS truck is getting closer. That's like war games. So I'm monitoring it like NORAD. The best defense is don't do woodworking. All right. My God, my head. I'm starting to have fun, and that makes my brain active a little bit more, a little too active. So the show ends. Trump finishes feeding. Everybody offers him their energy willingly, lovingly. It's some sort of mutual cult leader to cult follower kind of exchange. Pretty, sadly familiar relationship, although a much smaller percentage of us get to be cult leaders. Get to be, as if that's like the goal. So after that's over, they all Trump walks 100 feet or whatever it is over to his plane. Throws out some hats, coughs a little plague on his most loyal, the ones who got up front, gets on his chariot, and ascends back into the heavens from whence he came. Everybody in the crowd now needs to get back to their cars. It's getting late. Those Twizzlers are wearing off. They gotta pee, and guess what? The earth has spun itself into the dark. The United States is now in pitch darkness. What scientists call night, quote unquote, because I don't know, maybe it's not even night. Maybe someone just turned a switch on the thing. Maybe the sun is one of those energy efficient light bulbs that the liberals want us to use. So it's night, and the temperatures go down because the warm strings from the CFL bulb in the sky are no longer hitting them, and it's getting cold. And they weren't prepared for the cold, although there are plenty of, it was cold during the day, so people did have some jackets and stuff. But night cold is different. If you go out in night cold, you got to be ready. Listen, take it from me. I live in LA. You go out in 3 in the afternoon, it's 71 degrees and it's fucking gorgeous and amazing. And you wear your finest cargo shorts and you carry around your finest cargo. My greatest Kohl's t-shirt and sandals, and then the night comes and it drops down into the mid 50s, and mid 50s is rough in shorts and a t-shirt. Okay, it is. All right, so I know how it feels to suffer. This has been a great podcast so far, I just gotta say, and that's mostly just a comment. I haven't been doing too many ums. Now I'm going to start because I just said it out loud. And this turned into a little bit of an emergency where all these folks here, let's watch them. They're all lined up. I think they still had some buses. Apparently there were closures. Who knows? The Trump campaign said something about road closures. Of course, I can't trust anything those pieces of shit say. Oh, the hell, my monitor just went. I have a screensaver active. So the what the hell is that? Fuck, that just really the closures might have been a case, or maybe it just wasn't logistically smart to do something that before took 8 hours, and now you're going to try to do it. Everybody wants to leave at the same time and get to their car, so they're all lined up, wondering what to do, no idea where to go, and they're getting cold. There's injuries started to happen. People started to get early signs of hypothermia. Medics were called. Police were called. I mean, there were already a lot of police around, but they were having to do medical interventions, and it turned into a mess. So here's the people lined up and waiting around.
Those people.
There they are, the loyal. There they are, racist child kidnappers, and but of course they don't believe any of that. They think it's all the Democrats. But they're supporting a fascist and they're supporting an authoritarian dictator wannabe king. And this is a perfect example of exactly how Trump is with his base and what the relationship that he has to people who support him. He doesn't give a flying fuck about them any more than the same way a vampire expects there to be victims to feed on. The same way he just wants their attention, he wants their money, he wants them to turn on Fox News and Friends in the morning. He wants all of that. But when it comes to making sure that their day ends without them being stranded in upper 20 degree cold ass weather, unprepared, tired, cold, he doesn't care at all. They're just abandoned and flown in. I think he said something about Erie, Pennsylvania, like I would never be here. He just basically was talking. I mean, that's the sort of quote unquote honesty that he offers, that he just sort of seems to be unable to filter anything through his mind. Although I think he does a lot of filtering that we don't realize. And you're on your own, dumbass. Deal with it. What are we going to do? What are we supposed to do? Get you back to your car? The leader has already had his meal. Away with you. So did this change any minds? I highly doubt it. Trump had a good day. That's all that mattered to them. I imagine some of these people wondered what was going on. I imagine they were ready to go home. But is anybody going to wake up the next day and start having little tiny seedlings of doubt growing in their brains? Maybe one or two. Maybe. But man, Jesus Christ. Big events are annoying to get in and out of, even when it's like done correctly. So this is I think it's so funny. And then the next day they went to Florida, and I think 17 people passed out from the heat. So, I mean, they've been doing rallies all summer, and almost any rally, you're going to end up with medical issues. It doesn't have to be just Trump. It could be anything. Any group of people, someone's going to have a fainting spell. Someone's going to forget to bring their emergency packet of glucose. Someone's going to have an issue, dehydration, et cetera, et cetera. That's why you need to have these things have to be professionally planned and conducted, and with the services of humanity ready to help people. That's what a society should do. And of course, this is a preview of the society we're all maybe going to get to live more of when Trump gets in. Here's some of the issues. This was a big, this is going to look pretty small on screen, so I might have to re-edit it. But, this is the the Twitter channel at Omaha Scanner. Just recounting all the different medical things. So people listen to the police scanners in different cities and have they put them. You can get police scanner like YouTube. Just search YouTube for like live police scanner and have a great time. Cancel church and stay home and listen to some of that. Hold on. My delivery map just failed. Hold on. Let's see. Every once in a while it goes, you can't follow the map anymore. Oh my God, it's so close. It was all zoomed in. I should go out there and be like, I've been watching you all day. Why were you there for so long? Do you like podcasts? So there you go. There's Trump treating his people exactly the way they deserve. And it's exactly what they're signing up for. I don't know if they necessarily understand that he hurts people they have all been taught to not like and taught to mistrust and taught to other. But the ugly truth is, and this is true of, I would say both parties, but especially the GOP, is you are nothing but a wood to be chipped. You're a leaf that they just want to suck in so that they can swell their coffers with leaf bits. Not the best metaphor on that one. All right, let's jump ahead a little. We're going to get back to some Trump. Don't you worry. I bookmarked Twitter links, and then so today I just downloaded a bunch of shit that I wanted to put on the show. Joe Buck and another guy. This is a sports story because this is a sports podcast. They were doing some. It looks like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is the most appropriate football team around holiday because they are a costume. They are a pirate costume. They are their logo is a skull over two swords, which nice indication of a brutally violent society rooted in plunder, pillage, rape, and exploitation, aka America. Anyway, Joe Buck made a comment about the military flyovers. So this made the rounds a week or so ago. Looks like some decent socially distancing going on in the crowd. The stadium seats are fairly evenly distributed. I mean, there's people close to each other that are probably friends and family and stuff. But boy, what if you could catch diarrhea? What if that was contagious? I mean, I guess if they're at a really wild party, it can be. Anyway, let's hear what Joe Buck says about military stuff and flyovers. And the other guy speaks up. I don't know his name. I probably would recognize his face or name him. They're speaking. Yeah, I already said it. Here we go.
It's a lot of jet fuel just to do a little flyover.
That's your hard-earned money and your tax dollars at work.
That stuff ain't happening with Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now, partner.
So it was reported as a hot mic, but he says this. I'm just going to play it.
That's your hard-earned money. And
who's he talking to? Who speaks like that if they're not broadcasting? Like when I'm not broadcasting, I talk like this and I go, oh, hi. Oh, did another singing clown telegram? Thank you. Yes, proceed. I don't have this kind of up and down sing-songy affectation when I'm just sitting there watching Netflix anime. I can't watch real. I can only watch like the goods. Like there's a new one out called Blood of Zeus, and it's kind of neat. But anyway, all right, back to what. So this didn't feel like a hot mic to me. It only felt like a hot mic because it sounds like they're making. I can't read this. Most people seem to interpret this as them saying, being appropriately cynical about the way the military uses sports in this country to spread propaganda and to impose, America's military culture and to, venerate. And I think the vets deserve veneration, but they do this at public events, at sporting events, as a recruiting tool to try to, bring more young bodies into their machinery so that they can churn them out and spit them out and then treat them like shit when it's over. I saw a stat. There's like over 1.5 to 2 million homeless veterans in America. And we're a Christian country. We care about the troops. I think that's a disgrace. I think any homeless, it's all a disgrace. It's all just terrible. The abandonment of people once you're no longer useful to some profit making enterprise like the military, defense contractors and or any fucking capitalist rotten corporation that you happen to work for. You're nothing. You don't matter. If anything, you're a burden. You're better. You're much cheaper if you're dead. Then the only expense is having to scoop your body off the ground and dump you in some grave or burn you in some, unmarked mass pile of, they have to dispose of it somehow, right? They don't just throw them in the river. So let's listen to it again. Here we go.
It's a lot of jet fuel just to do a little flyover.
So he's speaking about money. Like it is a lot of money, man. These things, any one of these flyovers is thousands and thousands of dollars being spent.
That's your hard-earned money and your tax dollars at work.
Like he could also say that with a positive. That's why this is a little confusing for me. It sounds almost like he's saying, "Look how great is America?" Because this does have a slight ring of oh my god, I got my package. Yes. Roommate grabbed it. Cool. Awesome. wow, this UPS thing actually really works. I toured a UPS facility back in my college days. I majored in logistics, literally. That's not a lie. It was a bigger term, but so they're pretty impressive. We got to climb around in one of their planes. In North Korea, or these, what Trump wanted to do with a military parade where we march our weapons around, and I hate it. I think I'm not a pacifist, but I am anti-violence and anti-weapons of war. And the goal should be to minimize, and if not someday completely eliminate, the need to have violence and guns and weapons. And that sounds incredibly naive. We have a little bit more coming up later about some guns that I'm going to talk about that is horrifying. So there's no getting away from it. And it's just sad that the government uses big public events like this. So I can't really tell what the guys are thinking. But then this other comment here about Kamala and Joe.
That stuff ain't happening with Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now, partner.
Well, yes, it is. That Kamala and Biden aren't going to stop military flyovers. They've been doing that for decades. That's not a Democrat like plank that they're going to make sure there's no military flyovers. That's why this whole thing sounds weird to me, because who does he telling it's not going to happen? Is he saying good news? We're going to save money because Kamala and Biden are going to stop this stuff, and it's going to be they're going to end this ridiculousness of using football games and something collective group fun things. Like, can you imagine they did flyovers at like an Adele concert? All right, everybody, let's pause for the troops. There they go, boys. They were sending out the clipboards. Fill out your clipboards to join the military. I do it perfect, Adele. I know. You thought Adele was podcasting there for a second, didn't you? Yeah, I know. So is he saying good news it's not happening, or is he saying it's a warning? Hey, guess what, folks? Kamala Biden are going to take it away from you. I honestly can't tell what the tone is.
That stuff ain't happening with Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now, partner.
I'll tell you that right now, partner. Okay, so I didn't look it up, and I'm just remembering it. I think they had to issue a statement saying they didn't mean what they said. So this is terrible. As a journalist, I should verify that. But okay, you know what? Fuck it. I have the internet. Isn't that the whole point of this? Hang on. I'm going to look it up. All right. I'm not putting it on screen, but I'm just going to read from this article here on sportsillustrated.com. I'm a lifetime member. Let's see. What is the headline here? Joe Buck explains what really happened with that leaked clip about military flyovers by Jimmy Traina. And this must be Jimmy's column called Traina Thoughts. Nice. I would have called it Running a Traina or Impersonal Traina. All right. So here we go. I'm just jumping in the middle of it, though. Aikman. Oh, I guess Aikman brought it up. Troy Aikman. Oh, that was Troy Aikman speaking? I thought that was this other guy that has like a big face that looks like he's made out of mashed potatoes. There's some sarcastic, some announcer that does that. All right, so here I go. I'll just start. If you read Train of Thoughts on Wednesday, a video of Buck and Troy Aikman sarcastically talking about military flyovers before Sunday's Packers-Bucks game ended up on the internet, with the duo taking heat from people who thought they were mocking the military. Maybe it was a hot mic. Maybe they get into their broadcaster guy mode because they do like promos and stuff. So maybe they're just sort of like, it's like how Jim Carrey would stay in character in his movies. He still spins around and turns into a dog when he sees hot women. Aikman addressed the matter on Twitter on Tuesday night. Buck talked about the issue at length on the latest episode of his Daddy Issues podcast. Wow, Daddy Issues, which came out Thursday morning. Buck explained the remarks he and Aikman made in the clip were actually said by people on their crew at a dinner the night before. What? Buck and Aikman were mocking those people, not the military. Oh, they're making fun of their crew who probably don't have the wealth to don't mind their taxes being, or don't want their taxes being spent on bullshit like this. Buck was asked, and maybe they charge this. There's sometimes the military charges for this stuff. I don't know. I'm just saying I haven't seen the contracts. Buck was asked by his Daddy Issues co-host, Oliver Hudson, whether Fox is trying to find out who leaked the audio clip. Here's Buck's answer to that question and his explanation for what happened, how it happened, and why it happened. Here's a quote. That person will get found out because that specific shot of that flyover, which I personally thought was old, and a tape that they were running out of our truck as furthering our conversation that we were having internally. I thought that was on tape, but it was actually live, but it wasn't a Fox shot. They know they know whose shot that was, and therefore they kind of know where our audio was going at that moment. It wasn't going on TV. It was well before our game. Okay. So he knew the mics were on, hot mic, but maybe we'd say hot broadcast. Like he didn't know it was going to end up in the world. Here, more from Buck. This is going on way longer. So I see, and Troy in the microphone is repeating something that he heard the night before from an unnamed person on our crew. This person happens to be very far left and said, well, under Biden-Harris, you know that's not going to happen. And Troy was repeating that watching the flyover. So they clipped that out as if he's saying that and as if he's a Harris-Biden fan. But he's repeating something that somebody said the night before, which is unbelievable. If you know Troy at all, he was being 100% sarcastic, repeating for the person in the truck to hear like, ha, ha, ha. And then I go into a 1950s voice like, there's your hard-earned tax dollars at work, or whatever. Yeah, this sounds like bullshit. Again, repeating parts of conversations to our crew, and they clip that, and they run a headline that Troy Aikman and Joe Buck bash Flyovers, which it had nothing to do with any of that. All right. Oh, okay, fine. I'll just finish this. There's more, but it was a political conversation among our group that somebody clipped and sold for the exact reason that we're doing this. And it stirs people up, and words get weaponized, and then people have to weigh in. And he's like quoting because it's in italics. Oh, well, screw those guys. They don't like the military? What? The what is not italicized, so that's back to him. I don't know. First of all, who cares? But I would be surprised that two lifelong NFL guys would have these viewpoints to begin with. If they were actually like, oh, every time there goes more wasted military. I mean, the NFL and the military have very cozy relationships, as do lots of Hollywood outfits, production. You know what I mean? Hollywood is a propaganda arm of the military. All the television shows about the military. I mean, sometimes they show the downsides, and they will, but you can't get cooperation for military stuff unless you have there's a whole office at the Pentagon that just works with making sure that the propaganda is inserted correctly into movies and things, as well as with police. The Hollywood doesn't show what police really are. Hollywood makes police seem like just a quirky group of investigators out doing their best, and obviously it ranges broadly. But Hollywood, there's a term called copaganda. So the military or the sports complex is not unique to being manipulated by a empire nation bent on imposing under threat of violence its will throughout the world. Depriving people at home of any kind of health care, any kind of actual proper social services, or a kind of government that they deserve. Not to say that we got rid of the military, we would spend that on helping Americans. It's certainly not with the current mindsets that dominate the way this country is run right now. But that's why it's hard to read it all. But then this story is just so weird that they're quoting a far left. I love that phrase, far left. You like your fucking Social Security, you stupid bitch. That's far left. Medicare's far left when you get over 65 and you can go see a doctor. That's the far left there, right for you. How about the food labeling? You like knowing what's in your box of Cheez-Its, what ingredients go into that? There's some far left activism for you from the 1800s that we all take for granted. Far left. Fucking break. So it's weird. Yeah, that's a weird ass excuse. I mean, they might have those viewpoints. I don't know. I have no idea. That hit the rounds. All right, good. We can move on. I could just flap my gums about that forever. All right, let's get into some intense story here. This one is okay. Trump. All right. Well, let's just go through the screenshots the way I've prepared it. So, The Intercept is reporting on a quote from Trump at a rally. This was October 15, 2020, so early part of the month. Did he have COVID before? I think he had COVID. Yeah, he had COVID before that. So this must have been somewhat shortly after he became immortal from the vast amounts of socialized medicine that he received. 100% government-run hospital, government-run helicopters, government-run everything, and this fucking piece of shit runs around making sure that, demonizing socialism and any kind of government support. Perfect for the president, but no, not for you. No. Oh my God! If don't let the fucking plebes realize that the government, society is supposed to exist so that their lives can be made better and easier. Don't let them find out. So here's the headline in The Intercept. Trump boasts about federal task force killing anti-fascist wanted for murder in Portland. We got him, the president said of a fugitive killed by federal deputies. Witnesses say officers made no attempt to arrest him first. They sent a group of men with guns and they murdered somebody without any attempt to stop him at all. This is from the article. In chilling remarks at a campaign rally in North Carolina on Thursday, the president of the United States boasted about federal agents killing an anti-fascist activist suspected of murdering one of his supporters in Portland, Oregon this summer, calling the suspect's death without trial an example of his leadership. Here's quoting. We sent in the U.S. Marshals, President Trump said proudly of the federal task force that killed the suspect, Michael Reinhold. Took 15 minutes. It was over. We got him. It's not the first time that Trump has taken credit for the killing of Reinhold, a self-described 100% Antifa activist who was gunned down on September 3rd, hours after Portland's district attorney had indicted him for murder in the fatal shooting of Aaron J. Danielson, a right-wing activist, 5 days earlier, after a raucous pro-Trump car caravan. It's impossible for these things not to end up with some violence. And there's the violence always is largely and historically and largely for various reasons comes from the right, but there's violence going to be, people are going to defend themselves, people are going to be armed on all sides, so people are going to get killed and people are going to get hurt. That's just me rambling there. That's not in the article. Here's more from the article. Trump had bragged about the killing to Fox News last month, saying in an interview, the U.S. Marshals killed him. And I'll tell you something, that's the way it has to be. There has to be retribution. Oh, does it? Is that the legal system now? Someone who is a suspect in a murder, and maybe he did it, maybe he didn't, but let's just put him on trial if he did it. Who knows? I mean, trials are imperfect to say the least, but it's at least an attempt to unpack some of the nuance and allow for the truth to have a chance of being realized. I know that I'm not defending the justice system. My God, that's its own nightmare. Retribution? You just get to get vengeance because you think the guy killed somebody? You have any idea how much worse this kind of thing is going to get if Trump wins this election or wins it? He's not going to win it. If the GOP operatives in the Supreme Court steal it for him. More from the article. Reinhold was in fact killed by local officers in Washington state who were deputized as federal agents as part of a fugitive task force led by United States Marshals. So they just take local cops and they say, you're feds now. Let's go kill some people. Trump wants us to murder somebody. I don't know if that's written down. Multiple witnesses have come forward in recent weeks to dispute the claim from officers that they fired on Reinhold. I read that. To dispute the claim from officers that they fired on Reinhold instead of trying to arrest him because he pointed a gun at them. The president's latest comments stirred particular outrage online because video snippets from his rambling, only somewhat coherent monologue suggested that he agreed with the witnesses who told reporters for the Oregonian, the New York Times, Oregon Public Broadcasting, and ProPublica that the officers had fired on Reinhold without attempting to detain him. A spokesman for the Thurston County Sheriff's Office in Washington, which is running a criminal homicide investigation into the suspect's death, told the Oregonian on Tuesday that officers found a loaded handgun in Reinhold's front pocket and his hand on or near the gun after he was fatally shot. One widely shared excerpt from the president's remarks on Thursday, posted on Twitter by Asin Torabi, was viewed more than 3 million times, but showed just the last 17 seconds of Trump's meandering, minute-long diatribe. You know, another thing that contributes, we're going to play a clip in a second here, but another thing that contributes to these sorts of stories is that the media is often just a transcriber for the cops. So they're just taking a press release from the cops and the story the cops want out. Like when that old man got pushed down during one of the protests and he cracked his head open and immediately started bleeding out of his ear. The police press release about it said that a guy I completely misrepresented. I can't remember it, but they but it was completely misrepresenting what happened. I think it said, I know it said an elderly man was injured or something like that, but it did not at all reflect. It wasn't even like a generous interpretation of what happened. And cops frame people. You think why would they not? Why would they not either frame people with drugs, with guns, with weapons, or make up or fudge the report, with body cameras and cell phone cameras and all the ways that it's becoming harder and harder for them to do it. They're still doing it. Just imagine over the last century or 2 or 3 or 500 centuries or whatever, how many times a officer of the law lied to protect their buddies or protect themselves, or just to save themselves time, to not have to bother with something like being honest that they killed somebody who didn't actually pose a threat or something like that. It's rampant. It's terrible. So anytime you read anything like that, it's not to be trusted. So here's Trump. Here's the clip that they were just talking about.
We sent in the U.S. Marshals. Took 15 minutes, it was over. 15 minutes, it was over. We got him. They knew who he was. They didn't want to arrest him. And 15 minutes, that ended. Anyway, and they called themselves peaceful protesters.
And they call themselves... let's listen to this one. This is the part.
They knew who he was. They didn't want to arrest him. And 15 minutes, that ended.
They didn't want to arrest him. They were told to kill him. Don't arrest him. Kill him. And guess what? Just say he had a gun and his hand was near a gun. That's a nice, easy excuse to kill somebody. I feared for my safety. They died. Very, very common story. But this is the leader of the country bragging to his crowd in front of a row of American flags, this fucking fascist, about how they murdered somebody under his orders. I mean, he didn't say he ordered it, and he probably didn't. He doesn't have to. But this leadership drives this, knowing that they're not going to be, knowing not only will they not be prosecuted, or, it's not like the government's going to be like, oh, they did what? Well, send McGruff the crime dog to go investigate this, and let's make sure this doesn't happen anymore. They don't do that. They know they're going to. They know that's what being let off the leash means. That the prosecutions, the Bill Barr, especially once they've been. I mean, these are cops anyway. They're already protected by the legal system. They're the weapons of the billionaires. They're the ones who enforce the racial caste system. They protect property more than anything else. So it's disgusting. It's horrifying. Jumping ahead. More from the article. While there is no doubt that Trump did praise federal deputies for killing Reinhold, there is some nuance. Here we go. As part of a riff about how quickly agents under his command could put an end to violence from left-wing activists, the full video of his remarks shows that the president appeared to be saying in his own fractured way that the federal government was forced to intervene because local officials in Portland who are Democrats didn't want to arrest him. Quote. That's a quote. I like how we have to have appeared to be saying. We have to. That's actually part of Trump's magic, is that he doesn't say anything clearly. He uses simple language, but he doesn't speak clearly so that you can assign to it your own bias and your own narrative. And you know that he knows what narrative his base is hearing. In the abbreviated version of the video that went viral, it seemed to many viewers as if the president had said the U.S. Marshals, quote, didn't want to arrest him. Yeah, that's what it seemed like. And that he was endorsing an extrajudicial execution. The Democrats, this is quoted, the Democrats smear decent Americans as racists, slander our nation as evil, indoctrinate our children, and incite anti-American riots on our streets that we could control in 25 minutes, as we did in Minneapolis, as we do wherever we go. But they have to invite us in. By law, they have to invite us in. Trump told fans at the start of the remarks in Greenville, North Carolina on Tuesday. We want to go to Portland so bad. That one would take 15 minutes to set. 15 minutes. What does that mean? 15 minutes? And the man that shot another innocent man. Oh, this is quoted still. And the man that shot another innocent man, he continued, referring to Reinhold. This was an innocent man shot, killed, instantly killed. I said, what happened? Well, we haven't arrested him. The president said, recounting an almost certainly imaginary conversation with Portland officials. Yeah, he just, when he says, and I said, more quoted. 3 days went by, Trump continued, describing the period during which Portland's district attorney was, in fact, compiling enough evidence against Reinhold for an indictment, including clear security camera images of the shooting. We sent in, here, quoted, we sent in the U.S. Marshals, took 15 minutes, it was over. 15 minutes, it was over. We got him, Trump said. Quoting, they knew who he was. They didn't want to arrest him. In 15 minutes, that ended, end quote, the president said. Anyway, he added, slurring his words, they call themselves peaceful protesters. Okay. More here. Trump had leveled the same accusation against Portland officials the day that Reinhold was killed. Writing on Twitter that night, the president complained that the suspect had not been arrested yet, despite witness video of the shooting and an apparent confession from Reinhold himself in a television interview with Vice News. So they're showing a tweet from this fucking asshole saying, "Why aren't the Portland police arresting the cold-blooded killer of Aaron J. Danielson? Do your job and do it fast. Everybody knows who this thug is. No wonder Portland is going to hell. Melania!" Where? God, they're all such ghouls. I can't believe this is all happening. Here's more. There's only 2 more of these parts where I read. Don't worry, it's almost over. When he posted that tweet about 11:40 p.m. Eastern time, Trump was apparently unaware that Reinhold was already dead. Now, I can't necessarily fault him for that. I think it was 2 hours earlier. So let me finish this paragraph. The fugitive task force had moved in on the suspect almost 2 hours earlier, acting on a warrant for his arrest on a charge of second-degree murder obtained that day by Portland's progressive prosecutor, Multnomah County District Attorney Mike Schmidt. While Trump has subsequently suggested that the task force was acting in response to his tweet, the timing of when it was posted suggests that he was not in the loop on its actions. The president's tweet was not even posted until 13 minutes after the news of Reinhold's death had been reported by the New York Times. Let me back up. This makes it seem like they're saying, well, because he tweeted before, or he tweeted 2 hours after they killed him, he might not have been in on the loop. But that doesn't mean that he had a direct pipeline, like I was saying earlier. It doesn't mean he had a direct pipeline to this attack on this guy, to this death squad being dispatched against an American. That doesn't mean that at all. I mean, it just means that this still fits within his narrative. Well, they knew that they're not going to face any consequences for murdering this guy. He gives it the permission is granted no matter what, and it doesn't matter what he tweets. There's no credibility to anything he says anyway. Finally, in a statement the next morning, Attorney General William Barr expressed no qualms about the killing of the suspect, claiming that he had produced a firearm and offering praise for the federal task force that located Reinhold and prevented him from escaping justice. That's my Barr impression. Okay, well, he had a firearm. What else do you want to know? Do you trust us? No, I don't trust the cops. Oh, you're anti-American? No, I'm not anti-American. I just know history. Arrest me now. They're going to start arresting people for ideology. I mean, they already have. It's good. Okay. So, okay, more context. Let's watch the whole thing. I don't think I'm not trying to say that The Intercept is wrong here. I just think that he's bragging that they went and murdered him. It's not more nuanced because there's more here. Okay, here we go.
But the Democrats smear decent Americans as racist, slander our nation as evil.
Redoing, Hank. Redo with less volume.
But the Democrats smear decent Americans as racist, slander our nation as evil, indoctrinate our children, and incite anti-American riots on our streets that we could control in 25 minutes, as we did in Minneapolis, as we do wherever we go. But they have to invite us in. By law, they have to invite us in. We want to go to Portland so bad. That one would take 15 minutes to set.
Oh, even better than 25. That's why he's saying 15. What the fuck?
15 minutes. And the man that shot another innocent man, this was an innocent man shot, killed, instantly killed. I said, what happened? Well, we haven't arrested him 2 days, 3 days went by. We sent in the U.S. Marshals. Took 15 minutes, it was over. 15 minutes, it was over.
Yeah. Yeah, kill him. Just fucking kill him. We don't need a trial.
They knew who he was. They didn't want to arrest him. In 15 minutes, that ended. Anyway, and they called themselves peaceful protesters. You know, in theory.
What a fucking asshole. I can't believe that this is the country we live in. There's Trump. So this also took place right around, my timelines are a little jumbled here, but the fires that had ravaged, they were all record-setting all over Washington, Oregon. There was some in Utah, I think. I mean, there were fires all over the West. Definitely tons and tons around California. We had some crazy days here in LA where the sky was cigarette ash yellow and could smell it and it was gross. But we dodged a lot of the bad, like the way it was in San Francisco when it was bright red, or not bright, it was just deep, horrifying red. And we're not going to play this whole thing, but this, I don't know who took this, but in Oregon, somehow, and it's not that much of a mystery, but there's all sorts of confusion, is putting it generously, but people are being lied to and getting misinformation all the time. And what had been happening in Oregon, locals who support Trump and who support quote unquote America were setting up checkpoints to make sure that Antifa wasn't setting fires, because they were all being told that leftists were causing the fires. So anything bad is just going to be blamed on leftists from now on. And that's really scary, because they're going to, if Trump wins, man, they're going to go after lefties violently. With like they're going to go after him using all the technology and the surveillance that's available throughout the country. The full force of the federal government is going to become a fascist fucking nightmare. And they're going to, and this pattern has repeated throughout history, where they go after people who are ideological threats to them. And it's not even threats. Honestly, there's no real threat from leftists at all. The Republicans have, who protects them against the leftists? Pelosi and Schumer. The Democrats, they're all trying to avoid to make sure that they don't upend even a slight bit of the capitalist dominance of society. Oh my God, these leftists are saying we should tax billionaires to pay for health care for people. Maybe we should work a little bit less and give people power in their workplaces. Oh, let's go murder them. It's time for them. They're not good. It's been wonderful to see the rebuking of it in Bolivia and Chile, by the way, lately. Those are a couple of very small. Well, I shouldn't even say small, but they seem small compared to the enormity of 2020's nightmares. But those are some bright spots. So in this clip, the key part of it, we're going to play a couple bits. It's a couple sheriffs speaking to one of these terrorist militias that are doing illegal checkpoints. And the cops aren't telling them to stop because, if you're going to carry guns around and menace your neighbors, that's just America. That's what the founding fathers wanted. So here's the key part. Back it up just a touch. You can't really see it well. It's a strange yellow sky. It's very similar to what we had in LA for a while, but I know it was worse up there. And this is a cop who I believe, there were some consequences for him, which we'll get to at the end of this, but giving this guy advice, looking out for him, almost like they agree, but that they're wearing different uniforms and therefore have to follow slightly different rules. Let's listen to what this cop told his buddy, one of the checkpoint militia guys, to do. Okay, it's really hard to hear, and I have the quote that we'll get to later to read, but he says basically, if you throw a knife in their hand, that's on you, meaning if you don't want to get in trouble for shooting somebody, slip a knife in their hand. It's a classic old cop technique. They do it all the time. Why would he not tell one of his non-official cop buddies, one of these local militia, which is another characteristic of fascist uprisings. This is gonna get so bad. To how to frame somebody so they can justify murdering them. And they kind of react with a little bit of laugh. Now that one's tough to hear. I know that's hard to hear. Actually, let me turn off the filter. I put some filters on there to try to make it easier. So let me see if this will be kind of loud and noisy, but you might hear it a little better. Yeah, but you can clearly hear it if you like hear it. I mean, it's there. It's obviously there. So we'll jump ahead a little bit. They're asking, one guy asked about what do I do if a guy has a can of gas? Because they're just looking for people that they can harass. It's so crazy.
So I'm listening. I'm all ears.
What I'm saying is, you can't restrict someone's liberty. It's off a hunch, right?
What if they're carrying a gas can down the road?
Oh my God, a guy carrying a gas can on the road. Well, let's go point guns at him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not a crime until
That's what we call it. That's what this group is about.
As I'm saying,
Call the
you
cops.
guys have good hearts, good means.
You guys have good hearts, he says. And that's the thing. It's not like these guys were raised to be crazy, evil servants of a fascist, but they've been culturally conditioned to see threats that aren't there and then to act on those threats using a tool that our culture permits more than almost any other culture, which is violence and intimidation. And it fits very easily well into America's extremely deeply rooted white supremacist caste system.
Where do our rights come in then?
Well, you can't just harass people for walking around with gas. People walk around with gas all the time. Your car breaks down. You got to go get your boat refilled. You got.
I mean, they're like. I'm just saying.
I'm just telling you, bud. Just be careful. Be careful what you're doing, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation where, say, for example, let's just say hypothetically, right?
This is the cop talking, obviously.
Say it's me, right? I'm walking down the road, get some gas. My car doesn't work, right? And all of a sudden you come over to me. I'm just saying you in general, right? Say some company like, hey, what are you doing with this gas can? You draw a gun on me, and I'm armed, and I think I'm going to threaten. I'm probably going to turn around and shoot you because you're pointing a gun at me, right? And all I'm doing is just walking to the gas station.
You're defending yourself.
I'm defending myself, and I would have every right under the law to defend myself.
Got to defend yourself. What if I got to defend myself? How about a world where we're not always on the lookout to defend ourselves? Like we just have this territorial baboon brain in this country that where everything has to be about fear and scared. And you know what? You're right to be scared. We don't do a good job with men in this country, or women, really, honestly, everybody. But we condition men to solve things with violence, to suppress their emotions, to suppress, and you know what I mean, to not look at nuance. And I know I'm being extremely simplistic about it as a gender thing, but like, yeah, this is a joke I've made. It's been a while since I've said it, but like with how cruel it is to have people, children especially, facing a future where they know global warming is going to destroy their world and they're going to have to face massive problems. I don't think any of us really understand how bad it's going to get. But children, unlike other animals, human beings know about their own death. We know we're going to die. We have to carry that curse and that burden with us and make the best of it as we can. I feel like that's enough pain. That's the only pain, that and like grief and heartache and like, oh man, she won't call me back. That kind of pain. There's some pains we can never eliminate, but there's lots of pains that we can. So here's the part that's supposed to be funny. I mean, I don't know, maybe, but we shouldn't have a world where kids are afraid of global warming and the future and the environment collapsing. We need to have a world where kids are afraid of men. Be afraid of men. And that's what we teach kids. And then we should. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't. Stranger danger. The whole thing, the whole childhood is to watch out for men. Watch out. Because we know a man's going to come try to kidnap you and steal you and do some terrible shit. Stuff we can't even explain to you, your little 6-year-old brain. And that's right. We shouldn't, of course, it'd be irresponsible. But we have that world. That's the world we're in. Or we just accept that there's going to be a broken, dangerous element to society. And I'm not saying just stop being concerned, but let's work on the conditions that drive men and women, but men are the ones that go out and become predators out in the streets. By and large, the violence is largely there. I know that all humans are capable of it. I mean, meaning all genders are capable of violence, but that's the nightmare world we have. And we're like leaning into that even more to create disordered minds, people with messed up childhoods, abusive childhoods. And although there's probably research showing that, abuse is down and stuff, but we're not doing enough. We have a lot of messed up thinking in this world. So kids just need to be protected. But we do that by not fixing the problems that drive their world to be dangerous and scary and full of dangerous men. The solutions to that is obviously very multifaceted. It has all kinds of social conditioning and, economic situation, and just the whole mindset is drastically far from where I believe it needs or could be or should be. All right. Well, so that cop got outed because of this video. And how many times have these conversations happened where they weren't being recorded by somebody? So here's in the Daily Beast. Oregon Sheriff's officer suspended for spreading rumors about Antifa arsonists. Quote, Antifa motherfuckers are out causing hell and there's a lot of lives at stake, the deputy said, despite authorities' push to debunk the conspiracy theory. This is also the conspiracy theory Joe Rogan spread on his Spotify show. He gets paid $100 million for this, and he's got a huge platform. And he did apologize for it eventually, but these things spread, man. They go by so quickly, and there's so much irresponsibility with all of it, and it's going to get people hurt. More from the article. A sheriff's deputy in Clackamas County, Oregon, was suspended Saturday after a video showed him propagating baseless rumors that anti-fascist activists had started the wildfires now devastating the state. Video shows the deputy, an unidentified bald man, calling himself Mark. Wow, I'm pretty close to me. Saying, Antifa motherfuckers are out causing hell, and there's a lot of lives at stake, and there's a lot of people's property at stake because these guys got some vendetta. None of that's true. He also warns of Antifa or other crazy left-wing people attacking firefighters. I mean, the cops they're just being fed the same propaganda on the internet that the rest of us are. And not to mention just the overall, internal police culture that exists. More here. The sheriff's officer was also heard in a different video posted by freelance journalist Melissa Lewis, counseling residents of Eagle Creek, 5 miles north of Estacada, on how to avoid legal trouble when defending their homes from Antifa. You have to prove it was seriously physical injury or death, the officer could be heard saying. Now, you throw a fucking knife in their hand after you shoot them, that's on you, he said to the sound of laughter. I wouldn't let this shit happen in my neighborhood either, but be smart about it. So he's giving him legal tips. He's like, I'm one of you, but listen, it gets bad when you go to jail. So don't, if you're going to kill somebody, just make sure you do what we do and give the courts a reason to, who also agree with us, give them a reason to not have to put you in jail. Here's another part. The nearby Multnomah County Sheriff's Department issued a similar warning over reports of groups of armed citizens illegally establishing checkpoints and detaining passersby. Like, what the hell is going on? The department did not respond to a request for comment on whether the illegal stops were related to conspiracy theories concerning Antifa. While we understand their intent is to keep the community safe, it is never legal to block a public roadway or force other citizens to stop. This type of action increases the risk of injury to everyone at one of these roadblocks, the announcement read. As cars were evacuating the cities of Malala and Estacada on Thursday, armed men could be seen walking north along a state road winding along Cascada Slope, where massive fires were burning just miles away. The same day, 3 journalists reported being confronted by armed men while reporting on the wildfires. So they're confronting journalists, stopping passersby, armed militias roaming around in a wildfire. I mean, what you could just sort of see how the needles on the dials on the instrument panel that are like, oh, this is collapse. This is a society collapsing. There's obviously massive disconnects between reality and what people are told through their media, what they consume in terms of entertainment and media, which are the lines between entertainment and media are obviously becoming very much blurred too. This is bad. This is bad stuff. This is kind of predicted too. I mean, all of it, I think, sources from just America's past, and the ways that every generational step of right-wing violence, which we're just experiencing the version of it that exists within the internet era and electricity and mass media communication and cell phone videos and stuff. I'm not sure what else to say. It's just freaky. It's so crazy. And it's so unfortunate because this whole global warming thing was just so that a few thousand rich people could get a little bit more rich. It was just to pad their fucking capitalistic greed profit motive, just to make sure that they had, just the pressures and incentives that drive companies to lie and cheat and manipulate and pollute and all the various ways. It may have been completely unpreventable, but we have not managed and I mean globally as a species, our ascension to overgrown animal, meaning way too many people operating under old thinking patterns and thinking habits that prevent us from advancing further into a world where we can manage this planet. My thing is that we need to treat Earth like a generation ship. We have to be stewards of this amazing spaceship that we're on, because we're literally on just a gigantic spaceship that can offer us everything we need to have really wonderful experiences in our lives and to have a much higher ratio of stress to not stress, of joy to pain. And instead we, impose these societies on ourselves and on each other, and we're also unable to fix them when people can see them clearly and see clearly that we need to change things and that we need to work towards something better. But not this world. What else is this one? Here's a statement. Inappropriate comments made by patrol deputy. I don't feel like reading it. Already. So the guy's probably still getting paid. Let me just scan it. Yeah, I don't know. That's funny. Like, oh, you really screwed up, Bob. We're going to have to send you on a paid vacation. All right? Stay home. Go play your favorite video game. That's what I would do. So, okay. We're over an hour 15, and I had a bunch of Trump stuff to get into. I'm going to hold off on that, and we're going to jump ahead to a couple people I am glad are alive, whom give me hope and who I am grateful for, and who I really would have loved to have held one of them to account for being not the ideal president that I voted for, and another who someday I hope to hold to account for the same reasons. The funny thing is like this is AOC and Bernie. We're gonna hear from. They're in separate clips. They're not hanging out together. The left, as I understand, and this is probably a phenomenon that exists no matter what, is that people, once your team wins and gets in charge, your standards for what pisses you off are going to change slightly. That's just absolutely how human brains and culture and tribalism and all that other stuff works. But I would definitely say that the thing about people on the left and who are AOC backers and AOC supporters, and she inspires a lot of loyalty and devotion and defenders. But if she were president or Bernie were president, and I'm not suggesting those two are the same people, by the way, but their supporters will hold them to strict ass standards. Like, I think that's not saying that's unique to the left, but I would suggest that it is probably most intense on the left, meaning of the group of people who think independently and don't want it and want their leaders to reflect their principles, not just to sell them the bullshit that they need to sell them in order to gain power so they can impose their shit. No, I want your fucking honesty and I want your best effort. And I don't expect perfection from AOC anyway. I know she can be she occasionally might not line up exactly perfectly, and I see people criticizing her, but she's mostly hitting doubles and triples and home runs, and I think she's just magnificent. But I would be extremely critical of her if as a politician and someone in office. I would absolutely. Same with Bernie, as we will with Biden. When Biden is in, I mean, my God, it's just pulling it's like the back wheels are about to go off the cliff, and we just need to get back to the part where the front wheels are off, but just like touching, still touching the cliff, like almost ready to go. That's Biden. And then we got a lot of work to do to pull the car back even further off the cliff. We're so fucked. All right, so let's end with this podcast here with a touch of hope. And I honestly, I haven't even watched this whole thing here with AOC. I believe she's speaking about electoral issues like voting, because the Supreme Court is going to steal this election and give it to the people who put them in power. We're not a democracy here. They're just outright declaring they're going to not make sure votes aren't counted, and that like the decision Brett Kavanaugh had in Wisconsin, and Amy Coney Barrett, this new Taliban Supreme Court justice that was installed. Why is she allowed to weigh in on anything to do with the election? Isn't that a conflict of interest, considering that Trump appointed her? How is this okay at all? So here's AOC speaking. We'll just play it and see what happens.
Listen, there is no place in the United States of America where 2, 3, 4 hour waits to vote is acceptable. And just because it's happening in a blue state doesn't mean that it's not voter suppression. If we are waiting 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, if this was happening in a swing state, there would be national coverage. So I don't want us to think that just because this is a blue state that this isn't a problem. This is very clearly a problem.
Sorry. I know this isn't for audio, but I got to rewind one beat. Watch the guy walk past behind her here in the gray sweatsuit. In this point, he's behind her, above her left shoulder. This dude is carrying a coffee. He just looks like Grimace's gray brother.
I don't want us to think that just because this is a blue state that this isn't a problem. Okay. This is very clearly a problem.
Poor guy. I shouldn't. I look like that. I like people that he's wearing a matching gray sweatsuit where everything matches, and white shoes. I love that look. I want to be that guy. He had a whole thing. He had a bunch of coffee with him.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But that being said, at the same time, I am thrilled to see how many people who are overcoming this injustice, waiting in the lines anyway, bringing community supplies, snacks, lawn chairs. We are going to overcome this hurdle so that we can elect the folks that will make sure that this will not be a problem in the future.
Sounds pretty reasonable. So there's a few more minutes. We'll just see what happens next year.
When you say voter suppression, do you mean to suggest that you think here in New York City it's being done intentionally?
Listen.
I'm going to play it again with the volume up, so because the guy speaking is not near the mic. So here we go.
When you say voter suppression, do you mean to suggest that you think here in New York City it's being done intentionally?
Listen, voter suppression, it could be intentional, it could be unintentional. I think that at the end of the day, if the line to your polling place is so long that you don't vote, that is a form of disenfranchisement. And so whether it's intentional or unintentional, to me, that is less a concern as it is that it's happening anyway. But you know what? Again, we've got so many people that are thrilled to vote. This is our first federal election, a general election where we have early voting. And frankly, we fought to get an extra early voting place. And frankly, this also shows the success of early voting as well. This is the first time that we've seen lines this long for early voting. So you know what? I'm extremely excited about that. And we're going to make sure that this is a smoother process.
Tell us why it's worth it for you and apparently for others to wait 2 or 3 hours to do this.
Well,
make a change.
That's right, to make a change. And to me, what is important to me is that I want my vote counted the night that the polls close. And the way that we do that is by showing up in person. If you can't show up in person, you don't want to show up in person, mail in that ballot.
Wow, this is a little older, meaning further back in time. So that's what older means, right? Even though now it's clear and don't mail anything. I know I'm not trying to, I don't think anybody listening to this is going to, but if you mail your ballot and it doesn't show up by election day, there's a very good chance they're not going to count it. They're just not, if it's postmarked, it used to be if it's postmarked by election day. I think that's a fair cutoff. Postmarked the day after, that doesn't make sense. But you've done your job as a citizen, putting it in the mail. The mail is the government. It's once it's in their hands and postmarked, you have a record that it was, you did everything correct. But the Supreme Court, these extremists are going to take away people's voting. That's not a democracy. It's not at all.
You can do it. If you haven't mailed it in yet, you can even show up to your local board of elections and hand it in person to make sure that it's delivered. And so you can do that. But I wanted to make sure that my vote was tallied the night that the polls close. So I will wait 2 hours, just like my neighbors are, to make sure that happens. And it is a privilege and honor to do so.
One more question here. Let's see what it is.
How does it feel voting state after all these years?
Yeah, well,
I decided I couldn't really hear what that person said. We'll just listen to AOC though.
Voting every time is a very emotional experience for me. It never gets old to see that, thousands of your neighbors have signed petitions to put your name on that ballot. And it's just a privilege every single time. I think that voting is a celebration, and It's a joyful event. I can't wait until Election Day is a federal holiday, and so people don't have to take off work or anything like that. I can't wait for us to expand mail-in voting so it happens every election, not just during a pandemic. I can't wait for us to expand early voting, because this is it's a tremendous honor.
Good. Love it. Some flowery, somewhat standard politician speak, but she's not bullshitting. She's telling she's genuine with that. Why do we do election day? Calling it an election, it should be called voting day, and then the election ends later. The election should be over when there is not a single ballot left to count, because every election there is a they call it before. That's just a media construction where they want you to get the results on the night of so they can make it this giant news story. But calling it's not a high school where we can count 400 votes and then recount 400 votes and pick the popular kid to be the head of the prom committee. This isn't that. This is a huge national election with 50 different governments. And it's a mess right now. I mean, in optimal conditions even, it shouldn't be a day. First of all, of course, it should be a weekend. It should be a federal holiday. I like Sunday through Monday. I don't know why. I think that's better than Saturday through Sunday. But it should be a week or a month. And when you hear about people in other countries, I kind of find it, I don't know what it's called, if it's called outside perspective porn or something, but like occasionally on Twitter or articles, videos, podcasts, you'll catch perspectives from people about Americans' healthcare system or its election system or every other way that we're fucked up and weirder than the rest of the world. They say, I've never waited more than 20 minutes to vote. I walk in, I walk out. Everybody, like, you hardly ever see anybody expressing anything negative about their experience voting. Automatic voter registration. You don't have to go through jumping through all these hoops to be registered to vote. If you are if you're a citizen and you're of 18 or whatever their age limits are, you're registered. Doesn't matter. I think Australia fines you if you don't vote. So that increases voter participation. It's insane how much we rely on this Tuesday, which is based on an old agrarian model when America was a largely agrarian society, so that you had time to travel to and from the county seat and get back in time so that you could milk your goats. It's fucking ridiculous that we have a day. She's leaning a little into that day, like, I want my votes the night of, and I get that. It should be possible. This is not like a logistically impossible thing for a country to do, but elections are administered by by partisan actors. The secretaries of state of various states, who are political appointees, are actually, I think they're elected, are like Katherine Harris in the Bush administration, George W. Bush versus Gore in 2000. Florida was the key deciding state. Gore would have been president if all the votes were counted. That's been proven over and over and over. And the Supreme Court stepped in and made them stop counting. Amy Coney Barrett, Chief Justice John Roberts, and Brett Kavanaugh were all GOP activist lawyers who worked on the Gore v. Bush case at the time. But this woman, Katherine Harris, was George W. Bush's chair of George W. Bush's Florida campaign team. Every state gets its own like chair or something like that. Like they have these like little hierarchies of lieutenants and commanders to run their state operations. This Katherine Harris was also in charge of Florida's election system, and she was a total goon too. It was a real creep, and she was a total partisan and a complete hack. And guess who was the governor of Florida? Jeb Bush. Jeb fucking Bush was the governor of Florida. So that's a huge issue with America, the way we run elections. It's insane that we do it here because it's always been corrupt. It's always been designed so that it could be manipulated by the monsters in charge. And it needs to stop. It needs to change. And I hope when the Democrats, if the best case scenario, which is the Democrats take the Senate, the House, and Biden wins, one of the first things they should do is H.R. 1 or a version of it, which is what they passed in the House this past year, to expand voting rights. And I want all votes counted. I'm not talking about I want Democrats to do what Republicans do. I want all Republican votes counted. I want all Democratic votes counted. And the reason Republicans don't want that is because they know there's a shit ton more Democrats than there are of them. They're a minority party. Their ideas are odious and disgusting. And the more sunlight that's been shined on them because of their terrible ways they operate, the more people are turned off by that bullshit. The millennial generation and Generation Z and younger, generation parakeet brain. I don't mean it as an insult. I just think that growing up with phones and screens, it's got to fucking ruin your mind. I grew up with like Nintendos and Segas, and look at me now. Man, they're very, very much not rejecting not just Republican politics or politics as usual, but like leaning hard into democratic socialism and rejecting capitalism itself. Because why would you see the way the world is being put together for them, presented for them, and not at least have the thought of, maybe is this really the best you can do, adults? A melting planet and an economic system that's going to keep me forever enslaved to your wage kings, the CEO pieces of shit of the world. All right, so let's get to Bernie now. This one's kind of touching and sad. There's I think this happened recently. I should have done a little more research on the backstory. I believe it's a man in the audience who he had seen before at an event, a veteran who spoke about the medical debt he had, and he was in a hard place. And so this guy comes up. There's a nice moment here. This is good. And Bernie, this makes me just wish Bernie was here. Bernie would have fucking destroyed Trump in those debates. Bernie's he's a granite rock. He doesn't give a shit. He would have gotten annoyed at some point, and that would have been fun. I bet angry Bernie would be awesome. But he knows he's a extremely persuasive guy. And the contrast between him and Trump, that's something I was thinking about the debates. And I know that's a little bit of just fantasizing about a better world. But oh man. So here, let's just play this. Let's see where we go.
Thank you, Bernie. Because of your support, Senators Cortez, Masta, and Jackie Rosen got involved in straightening out my bills with TRICARE. And I was retroactively reinstated, and I only had to pay the $29.50 a month from when they canceled my insurance without my knowledge. So thank you for rescuing me. And I have this to give you. This.
So he holds out a jacket, like a leather. It's got kind of like a furry collar a little bit. Like the fur's not real big, It's like, no, I don't think it's mink. It's just a pretty standard leather jacket, like a military guy would have, kind of like Tom Cruise, like a real tough guy. Bernie walks up and they hug. Bernie takes the jacket. Bernie lays it down on the ground. Bernie starts breakdancing. Bernie pulls a move never invented before, the triple sow cow 720 1140. Amazing. See, the guy does everything. Bernie just walked off with a beatbox and a pair of sunglasses on and a huge gold chain waving in the wind. It's very windy. Windy enough for a gold chain to catch the wind. Here we go. Let's keep going.
It's mine.
So the guy's still going to talk, and Bernie's holding the jacket a little awkwardly. He's kind of holding it up like if he's like I don't know why he's holding it up so weird.
Leather flight jacket.
Okay, sorry. I'm starting to get into the funny bits here, but this is really sweet. This guy says, "This is my leather flight jacket
that I earned in Naval Air Crew Candidate School exactly 25 years ago." And
so I mean, sorry. This guy's life is defined. I'm making assumptions. He probably has more nuances in layers and chapters of his book. But military dudes often, and that's not all of them, but it's their formative experience. Sometimes it is a pivot point, and maybe they weren't, people enter the military as young men and women for different reasons. But this guy clearly is honored by his jacket that he earned as a flight school or whatever he did to get this. And we as a society and our capitalist corporations, the defense industry especially, feeds on people like this. They take this instinct to sign up and put your life on the line for your country, which I think that instinct would probably be, it's a healthy thing, but I would rather live in a country that didn't brainwash children with the Pledge of Allegiance and with the bullshit history that's taught. But they produce people willing to throw their lives on the line for a country that's lying to them, a country that's only using them to secure access to cheap labor markets, pliable governments, and resources throughout the world. That's what the military is used for in this country. It's had nothing to do with your safety or my safety. So this guy is a good man, and he put himself into this life affirming, but like this event, him being in the military, was critical to him, and he comes out of it, and it sounds like he needed some health care. I know that there was something to do with his insurance not being taken, and he has to go to battle against his own country his whole life to be treated with just a little bit of respect after signing up to put his life on the line. It's such a violation. It's such a fucking awful way that these people are treated. I don't think veterans should get special treatment after school. This isn't Starship Troopers, where you can only become a citizen by serving in the military. I don't believe in that either. I think everybody deserves to have a society and a government that looks out for them, that makes sure that their issues are whole. And if they have problems, they get help. We have the money, we have the resources, we have the ingenuity. We just happen to have been molded and sculpted by exploiters and abusers. So anyway, let's listen. Let's keep going.
December 84. I graduated, I think it was January 11th, 1985. So it's exactly 25 years when I went through the doorsteps of that school where they just recently had a tragedy. They send all the enlisted and officers for flight training there, and I became a search and rescue corpsman. And I served at NAS Lemoore Search and Rescue and saved dozens of lives while stationed there. And as a corpsman, in 20 years of service, I saved many more in my routine jobs and things like this. I want you to have that. That's my original issue flight jacket.
All right, Bernie finally put the jacket around his arm like a normal. He's holding it awkwardly because he doesn't want the jacket. He's not going to keep it. He shook his head when the guy said it's my flight jacket. He's like, there's no way Bernie's going to be like, thank you. This is great. I got made fun of in the media for wearing a big jacket, and they were right to make fun of me. It was only 18 degrees outside, and I shouldn't have worn such a jacket designed for 14 degrees. So this is wonderful. I'm going to put it on. Here, help me put it on there, you piece of shit. All right, let's go pick up some broads. Got to like Bernie opens like the trunk of a Trans Am, and there's just a whole bunch of flight jackets and military medals in there. Stupid pieces of shit. Finally got another one. Yeah, no, Bernie's obviously not going to keep a jacket. Trump was given a Medal of Honor by somebody, I think. And he's like, oh, I always wanted one of these. And he like keeps the medal. Or no, it was a Purple Heart, which is worse even. That's the one you get if you get injured. All right, so here, big crowd, big cheer here.
And a flight patch.
Well, let me say this. John, I so much appreciate this. I am not going to take it because it's a beautiful jacket. It's a jacket that you earned, and I want you to keep it. But
like, of course he's not going to keep it.
Do you have it in pink? I'm feeling pink is the color of this winter. I know we did a lot of earth tones over the spring and summer. I'm not going to keep it, but I will take the remunerated value in Canadian currency or Bitcoin. Do you have Bitcoin? You ever heard of blockchain? Are you on 4chan?
But the last time I saw you, I will take that. That I will take.
So wait, he gives him something. So the guy really wants to honor Bernie. And this is what's nice. Like, you know, this guy's probably had so much stress and so many nights and he's for those of you not seeing on video, I'm not diagnosing anything, but it's clear that there's medical issues that are causing him to move around and hold. Like, he doesn't seem to have full stillness. And anyway, it seems apparent. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. So Bernie giving the jacket back is, of course, but it'd be weird if Bernie rejected everything. Like, all right, here, have $1. No, fuck off. No, but like it's an honor if it's kind of rude to turn a gift down when someone really wants to give you something too. Like that's also part of humans because we're nice. Like humans are always, that's it, that we gave each other shit. That's what our whole ancestors were, was, oh, I got something you need. Now here you go. You can have it. You know, I feel better because I gave it to you. And then you'll give something to some, you know, like pay it forward. Haley Joel Osment, Kevin Spacey, look it up. Fucking internet. No, here we go. Let's go a little more. Bernie gives his jacket back. And then starts talking. Oh, I want to see what the guy gives him, though. Hold on. Let me look a little. Backing up.
But.
Oh, okay. So he pulls the little wings things off the lapel or like the breast area of the jacket, right? Like the left side.
The last time I saw you, I will take that. That I will take.
Flight tag.
Okay.
No, flight tag. You say. So anyway, Bernie says, okay, I'll take it. Who knows if Bernie, I mean, I'm not saying he's dismissive of it, but like he should probably like send it back to him something with like a note. I don't know. Who cares? It's not, I don't think it's, I just made the case for why you should accept it. So yeah. All right.
The last time I saw John, it was not a good circumstance. We had a brief conversation. And I'm so happy that working with your senators in our office, we were able to rectify your situation. Let me just say this, not just to John. As a nation, we can disagree about a war. We can disagree about foreign policy. But when brave people like John put their lives on the line to defend our country, when they come home, they will receive the best quality health care that this country can provide them.
Honk, honk. Honk. Honk, honk. Honk, honk.
And they will not have to go deeply in debt or be harassed by bill collectors for some stupid bureaucratic reason. So, John, thank you so much.
Nailed it. Yes, there you go. So there you go. Bernie's the man. Oh, man. It sucks. It sucks. This is horrible. All right. We're almost coming up on an hour or something here. Hour 40 something for sure. I got a bunch of Trump being an asshole. I got a whole bunch of other stuff that might be interesting to get into. Well, let's end with this one. This one will be fun. This is a quickie. Lindsey Graham is hopefully going to lose. This guy is just one of the worst people in Sauron's court. He is just nothing but a fucking power-hungry piece of garbage. And he's running a very close race in his re-election campaign. This is him begging for money on the Laura Ingraham show. She's one of these Frau Nazi women that are going to help usher in the fascist upswell and make sure that the Ivanka Trumps of the world will rule us for thousands of years from now on, unless they invent immortality before Trump dies, in which case we're stuck with them forever. That'll be fun. So here it is. This is just funny way it ends, though. I think you'll enjoy this.
Much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Help me if you can. Lindsey Graham.
They just cut him off. I gotta listen again. Here we go.
For being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Help me if you can. LindseyGraham.com. All right, with
LindseyGraham.com. All right, so that was good. Take that, Lindsey. That's right. You just got winners and losers. You piece of shit. Good stuff. That was fun. All right, great. Delete. Gone. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this. Thanks for being part of this thing here that I'm doing and listening. And I hope you enjoyed this hour or two of fine quality entertainment and voices in your ears. Come on over to Twitch if you'd like to see it, and you can tell me something or not. You don't have to, obviously. You know, that's great. I really am so far from the part where I look at the numbers and like the podcasting effort and be like, oh yeah, we're doing it. But I have faith. I have that's not faith in any kind of like extraterrestrial or what do they call that, supernatural bullshit kind of way. But like I've seen this process work, and I know it can work. And I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to like doing things consistently and getting stuff out. Twitch has allowed me to do a lot more in terms of sheer hours and putting in some reps and stuff and getting the videos going. And I'm hoping to connect to other shows, though. I'm pretty isolated with this effort here. The slowest way you could grow an audience is by never having guests and never going on other shows and stuff. The pandemic is a part of that, sort of. Obviously, everybody's kind of home and alone, but so everything has to be done remotely. All kinds of other whatever reasons, why my own personal reasons. But goddamn, I'm excited about how much fun this could be too, because I like doing it. It's so much fun. I forget that sometimes when I'm overwhelmed by the work, and this year especially, it's been difficult keeping perspective and keeping like a positive outlook and everything else. So the only way forward is to find others that are like me and like you, and I want to be, so one thing I'm going to be doing relatively soon. I have this weird phobia or something about being on camera, even though as I've said, I'll go do stand up in front of people. I'll stand on stage. I'll be on camera for other shows or acting or whatever. It's been a while since I've done any acting in anything, but when I was at TYT, I would go on camera. If you're a TYT member, you can check out, just search for my name if their system is sophisticated enough to have search. But I did a bunch of Friday post games with Dave Kohler, Steve-O, Malcolm Fleshner, and I did an episode of Old School. Did an episode of, I'm totally fine on camera, but being on camera at my house, I just have this like, ooh, it feels invasive. And so, but getting over that. As I said in previous, I almost said email, in previous emails to you, I have, I'm forcing myself out of my comfort zone to make this stuff happen, because the alternative is that I have to go work at some shitty job that I hate for some boss that, and it's unlikely that I'll get hired anyway, because I have a record of being a union organizer. I don't know if they'll find that necessarily, but my activities at my previous employer might come up in an HR search, and maybe they wouldn't want to know that they're hiring someone who has the potential of living by the most basic standards of decency or something. But that's a silly reason to assume I'll never be able to get hired, obviously. But I don't want to work for anybody. I'll work for somebody for like comedy, like writing or something. If it's really a comedy thing, that's like a lane I'd like to be in. But if I could make this work independently, I will, and I want to. And being on camera is a very crucial part of that, because I also would like to be a guest on people's shows, and that you're a lot better if you're on camera, I think. Of course, no shit. So good. I'm working on it. I hooked up a video camera that I have, an old one I haven't used in a while, but there's a way to use it, because I also have to have the shrimp running, my shrimp cam. That's key. So we'll see. We'll see how we go. More on that later. I got a package to go open. Very excited. Got a bunch of hand planes I'm going to go marvel at and awe and think about all the old furniture that they built, and what stories, and maybe someone was impregnated on one of the desks or coffee tables that were made with these hand planes. A shelf, even. Heck, a side table. How'd you like to have sex on a side table? I would. Push the lamp off, the kerosene lantern crashes down, and you have 2 minutes to bang before the flames engulf you all. That's fun. But every tool has a story, because furniture is where what the hell am I doing now? Anyway, that's what I'm doing. See you around. Good luck with the election. Stay safe. I hope you're all good. I'm going to try to do more. I'll be doing stuff on Twitch more than here, but eventually it's all going to kind of fold itself together. So we're in a time of growth and change with this show here. And I'm partially what I think is going to be good about Twitch is going to kind of make me work on animations a little more deliberately and actually follow through with stuff. And I have a lot of more woodworking stuff to edit as well. All right. I'm just rambling and basically going through my mental checklist right now. Good night. Take care of yourself. Be okay. Be safe. Reach out if you want to say something or whatever. Take care. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. You're not perfect. You'll never be perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. You're not going to be great. And especially this year of all goddamn years, allow yourself a little leeway in that. Forgive yourself. Okay. All right. Oh, I forgive you. Does the Pope forgive people? Is that a thing? The priests do, right? Hey, priest, I jacked off at the Walmart. And oh, yeah, okay, all right, I did that too, okay. Wow, all right. See? That's not good at this. This is the part I suck at. I'd be like a gymnast who gets really good and then just breaks his neck every time. Just devastating neck break every single time. But bounces back. All right. Good night. See you later. Goodbye.